UFC Atlantic City, Blanchfield versus Fiorot, Andy and Jim for your UFC breakdown. We've got done watching the weigh-ins and the face-offs. A couple things that we took away from those, so we'll be going over those in a bit. Where we're just going to get right into breaking down the fights. Very bettable card, I would say. So a lot of good looks here. We've had some pretty serious line movement on a couple of them. Biggest line movement may be this first one, Jim. Angel, Pacheco, and Caolan, Loughran. Every penny, dollar, cent has come in on Loughran. The guy's over minus 400 now. I have regrets because we watched Angel Pacheco on Contender Series. This is a guy that gave out 200 shots, and he took 200 shots, and he lost. I didn't think he deserved a contract, but here he is. And, Jim, this is pretty much your striker grappler, isn't it?
I would think so. I think Pacheco's a bit of a marauder, going to march forward. And it's obvious where Loughran has a big advantage. So, I mean, this is a pretty cut and dry fight here. I think I'd like your thoughts on the totals on this. I think that's the only way to play it at this point, with the lines being the way they are.
I think it's pretty amazing that you can get plus money on the over 2.5. And about 6 hours before we started recording this, it was plus 130. Now it's plus 114. Pacheco does have cardio. We watched him get taken down. I don't think of Loughran as a killer, like with submissions. I think of him as a very good wrestler. I think he can take him down, and I think once he gets those hands locked around Pacheco, I don't really see Pacheco offering like high-level jiu-jitsu to get out of it or anything, but I think he's going to be frisky enough to be an annoyance to where Loughran is going to land some ground and pound, and I think this could be a very, very boring fight. I think they brought Pacheco in because he put on a crazy performance on Contender Series, and what do? They put him against a wrestler.
Yeah.
So I don't like the matchmaking on this one. I'll be very honest. I think this is a really dumb matchup. I don't like. What are we going to take away from this? So Pacheco, I think his best chance is to knock somebody out. And he had 200 landed strikes on the Contender Series, and he still couldn't knock the guy out. So he's not knocking out Loughran. So I think plus money over 2.5 is really good. I'm not sure Loughran gets him out of there. I think it just could be one of those dominating performances on the ground. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the total.
The only way I could see a finish is if Loughran gets a submission. But the thing with Pacheco is, and he's proven it, is that he's going to fight. He's going to fight till his very last breath, and he wants this more than anything. So the only way he's going to give up is if he goes unconscious. And it's going to be unconscious from a submission. I don't think it's going to be a knockout. So I like your look on the over 2.5 as far as that goes.
Love it. Let's move on to Andre Petroski and Jacob Malkoun. Listen, I can talk about it till I'm blue in my face, but the robbery that they gave us on Jacob Malkoun versus Cody Brundage may go down in history as one of the biggest absolute effing ripoffs because we didn't even get the no contest.
No.
That's what's so
straight up lost.
Infuriating is asshole ref goes on a power trip and decides, I'm going to show everybody I know the rule books. And then how many times have we ever seen it before, Jim? Never. How many times have we seen it since? Never. It just, like, it's brutal to go back. But so you got Malkoun, who just looked great against Brundage. Great win against Maximov. Lost to Brendan Allen, which now that loss
looks great.
has not aged poorly at all.
And that was a very close fight. The unanimous decision was a bit of a robbery that should have been a split. I don't see how that fight wasn't a split.
Yeah. Phil Hawes, I don't know. Phil Hawes is a good wrestler. His chin just lets him down. So, Petroski, I like what you said earlier. You and I were talking earlier about, you were saying last fight, like, he was overseas. He had 7 days notice. So are we getting maybe a touch of value on Petroski, or what do we think of, what do we make about this one?
Well, say what you will about his cardio. He doesn't have the best cardio, but look, his cardio is going to be better than it was the last fight. It just has to be. I don't see there's a way that he can't. Now, whether it's enough to stand up to Malkoun's constant pressure and wrestling and chain wrestling, I don't know. That's the big question now, isn't it? He was over in Thailand planning on doing a full 3 months in Thailand. No fight scheduled, and they called him. He literally said, they paid me enough to fly back home and fight. He didn't want to fight, nothing. He was like, all right, I'll fight for that amount of money. So, I mean, we got to really checked out Petroski in his last fight. So I think he's going to be better. Questions in this fight. I like this fight to go to decision. This might be my favorite decision on the card. I think this is a wrestle fest. If Petroski looks good early, it's going to be Malkoun late. And I can just see some ugly transitions happening, dirty wrestling. And if Petroski's gas tank is better, I definitely see it going to the cards.
I can't disagree with you on that one. And it's not that bad of a price. It's
playable.
I mean, Malkoun in decision. I mean, he was good. That Brundage fight had no chance of going because Brundage was checked out. But you're right. Like Petroski and Malkoun could be really, really close. I'm with you on that one. So, yeah, we got some totals that we like to start off the card with. Melissa Gatto and Victoria Dudakova. I've been dancing around this one, whether or not to put this in as an official client play for Wager Talk. I will be honest, I have bet this with my own money. You said, as soon as you see face-offs, you're going to bet you're going to be on Gatto. I am going to put this in Wager Talk as a official play. I just love Gatto and Victoria Dudakova. I'm not going to say fraudulent 8-0. I'm just going to say that the O has to go, and it is going to be gone on this one. Her striking is pretty bad, be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I just watched her get held down by 4 minutes by Jin Yoon Frey. Like, whoa. Yeah. Her previous fight, Estela Nunez dislocates her elbow 30 seconds in, so we take nothing away from that. And then she went to decision against Maria Silva. And you have Gatto, who's just been in real fights. She's just fought real competition. And you know, I was worried about her in the last fight, and Lipski just played it about as perfect as Lipski could do it. Gets the split decision loss. I just think there's value on Gatto. 2 losses in a row, but Dudakova's a step down. And like you said, she looked great at face-offs, right?
She looked fantastic. I mean, she looks the best that she's ever looked. She's always looked good, but she looks absolutely fantastic on the scale. This is Dudakova stepping up in weight, which she sizes up okay, but we don't know what that is with fight weight. You know, people, they talk about this all the time, the weigh-ins, like it seals the deal, but fight weight is very different. It's very, very different. I mean, we know they're going to be we had this with who was our Bellator guy that was huge?
Loughran. Yeah.
You know, we were saying, like, you know, it's a big, wait till they get in the cage. He's going to be 20 pounds heavier. Like, Gatto's going to have a big size advantage in the cage and strength advantage. I loved Gatto. I loved Gatto in the beginning of the week. I love it even more now. So we've been on Gatto all week. So, yeah.
It's minus 155, and I played this at my own money at minus 160. So it's even like a little bit less. Dudakova. I'm liking more and more trying to predict when these undefeated fighters take their first loss, because nobody ends their career undefeated. There's not been many to do it. So, like, you know they're going to lose. You just got to pick when's that step up in competition. When's it going to get it? Our good friend Rudy G, what did he say? I'm going to get that bastard.
Yep. We're going to get Victoria.
We're going to get her, and I think it's that. And we mean that in the most respectful way possible. What we mean is we think she loses, and Gatto is the play for sure. My gosh, Jim, if ever there was a fight made for you, it is Aslan and your boy Anton Turkalj. This may be the last time that you get a chance to break down Turkalj.
I'm going to be really sad. Really sad if this fight plays out.
What do you think?
All right. So, Anton, one of my favorite fighters to bet against. He's been an absolute cash cow. This is one of those guys that we identified on Contender Series for just not being UFC level. I honestly don't know how he's here. I really don't. I mean, we see it time and time again with this guy. He's got zero striking defense. His hands are at his waist. He's made absolutely zero improvements since the Contender Series. His body is the same. His skill level is the same. He gets hit so easily. It's just his social media and his Instagram presence is so much more about his pleasure man persona than it is MMA. And he's going up against Ibu Aslan, who I think made a critical error in their first fight. These guys have bad blood. And in that fight, you could see it in the body language, in the aggression from Ibo. He came out way too hard, way too fast, decided to wrestle, which made absolutely zero sense to me. That he would wrestle with Turkalj, because what's Turkalj's path? It's wrestling.
It's the one thing he does well.
One thing you can't do is engage in wrestling with him. If you don't, you'll beat him. I think he learned a lesson. I think he's going to come out a little bit more controlled with a better gas tank. I think he's made improvements. And I unfortunately think this is the last time that we see the Pleasure Man in the UFC. And we're going to hope he shows his face in PFL or Bellator, because Pleasure Man is going to stay on our radar.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what division or what promotion you fight in. Bad striking defense translates to all levels of it.
Yes.
So
now, that being said, if you don't want to take a side in this fight is a no distance or under 2.5 all day long. So you're looking for a parlay piece. Some people are on Anton. Okay, play this fight on the unders. I think this is going to be a quick fight. One way or the other. I think it's
Aslan
over.
Gasses or knocks him out. It's so you saw all the first round finishes from Iba Aslan. I'm with you as well. So confusing fight here. Not confusing, but just tough one to handicap. Connor Matthews and Dennis Buzkja. Do you make anything from this? Is there anything betting wise we can do with these two guys?
So I don't like Connor Matthews. I think his skill set is a little overrated. He comes out of a fight gym and area that I am not high on. The New England cartel is just falling apart at the seams. They're literally hanging their hat on Calvin Kattar and hoping he gets this win coming up, or else they are on one hell of a skid. Dan Ige just got it done, but he's a win-loss fighter. No more, Rosa, they're gone. I'm just not a fan. Dennis Buzkja is only here because we're in New Jersey, and he's one of Ray Longo and Chris Weidman's boys. So, we have garbage, and we have garbage. What do we do with this? Look, I think Buzkja's chin is going to be a little suspect. He got starched by Jamall Emmers. Absolutely smoked by Jamall Emmers. That Sean Woodson fight, I was screaming at the TV, wondering what the heck Woodson was doing and how did he not finish him. He played with Buzkja for 3 rounds. He could have ended that. He was so hurt to the body. He was shelled up against the fence. I think that really should have been another finish. The amount of damage he took in that fight, I mean, I'm looking at he's coming off of 2 finish losses. The only reason that Woodson fight didn't end is because Woodson didn't choose to. Maybe he wanted cage time. So I think somebody makes a boo-boo in this fight, to be honest with you. I would like this fight not to go the distance and not play on a side. I think either one of these guys can make a critical error, and we'll cash that under or cash that no distance. Other than that, I'm not taking a side in this fight. No way.
So I think that going the distance may have been the worst thing for Buzkja. He would have been better off getting finished in the first. He absorbed 3 rounds of nonstop punishment. And what do we say? Being tough, when that's the first thing you say about a fighter, uh-oh. And it does make you wonder if that softened him up, because he fought a few months later and just got absolutely flatlined by Jamall Emmers. Yeah. And it's like, well, okay, well, at least he's going to take 9 months off and get, oh, no, wait. he's back at it.
We're in Jersey. He's back in it. Yeah.
Put me in, coach. All right, get in there. I'm with you on the under. My only concern is that Connor Matthews did some really good damage to his opponent on Contender Series, and then kind of played with his food, tried to work in the wrestling and the takedowns, and I was like, why aren't you going for the finish here? I mean, he does have finishes, but they're submissions, rear naked. We're like, we hope you to test the chin of Buzkja, and maybe he can, because he did rock Farias on Contender Series more than once, and if that chin of Buzkja is as damaged as we think it may be, it may not take that much to really wobble him and get him out of there. I think I may be with you that Buzkja may just be one shot
Yeah.
power, and that may be it. That may be his path to victory because he's shown no signs of life since being in the UFC. It's been
And he's
quite
got to
rough.
come out. He's got to come out and get a win, or he's gone. So we might get an
Yeah.
aggressive Buzkja that could lead right into a finish. He could walk right into it.
Either way,
For us here.
he could punch his way
Yep.
in or lean his way in and get cold cocked here. So. Oh boy, Julio, Arce, and Herbert Burns. You and I may have spent more time researching this fight than any fight this year. There is a lot going on, so I'll let you just start with one fighter. Pick a fighter, and let's talk about the background of this fighter. Who do you want to start with first?
All right, I'm gonna take Burns because I've been on the Burns fade train for a while. I've made a lot of money. We were absolutely stunned when this fight got announced that we were going to be able to bet against Gilbert Burns or on Gilbert Burns or even Herbert Burns. In 2024. I thought this guy was done. All of a sudden he's, on a UFC card. Like, geez, okay. Look, extensive injury list. Coming off ACL surgeries back to back. Questionable gas tank. Questionable heart. Questionable skill level. His wins have not aged well. Cross off the Landwehr win. Just cross it off. It was a lucky knee. It happens. We saw what Landwehr did after that. I just don't see in what world we're getting any kind of a UFC caliber fighter. Now, if this was a jiu-jitsu match, you're getting a world-class fighter. But we're not. We're just not. And we've talked about this with injuries. Like, you come back and you have a different 100%. Your 100% is now 90% of what you were. Well, now when you're on back-to-back same injury, it's not 80. It's like 70, 65%. When you do doubles, that's trouble. He also did say in an interview that he wanted to fight in December, and there was a nagging injury that kept him off of that card. Wouldn't say what it was, but I would assume it was something enough to keep him out of a fight. I mean, it just proves to you that even when this guy's not in full-fledged camp, he's getting injured. His social media is very promotive of his gym. What? I have a feeling this is just, a show up and get your name back out there. What did he say? He did a video that this is Gilbert Burns 3.0. 3.0? We're up to 3.0? Are we going to be talking about 4.0?
Yeah, 1.0 and 2.0 weren't that great, man.
No. So, I'm not really high on putting my money anywhere near Gilbert Burns or Herbert Burns, but I don't think we see a scorecard in this. What do you think about Arce?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched this fight against Bill Algeo, it was like he went into the fight. He was like, I have 2 minutes to get a submission, and if I don't, then it's over. And he was literally carried out of the cage. So all right, Julio Arce. Julio Arce is coming off of an ACL injury as well. He was supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt, and this fight got canceled. This was a year ago, so he's had a year plus to recover from it. So, I mean, Arce's been around for a while, obviously. His first UFC fight was 2018 against Dan Ige of all people. So it's interesting. You look at his losses. It's okay. Shaman split. Hakeem Dawodu was a good fight. Split. So very close. Yadong Song. No shame in that one right now. And Montel Jackson, it goes down as a unanimous decision. I went back and watched that. Good fight. Very, very close. Very, very equal. He does have wins against Daniel Santos, Andre Ewell, Julian Erosa, who he finished, and Daniel Tamer. So when he loses, it has been close against Montel Jackson, Dawodu, and then Yadong Song, whatever. But he's beating the guys that he should beat. That's my takeaway from Arce and I like guys like this when you're going, okay, when a fighter is at this level, he's not going to win. When a fighter is at this level, this guy's going to win. So we kind of know what we're getting from him. So the injury does concern me. There was I didn't see it. Do you want to say what happened at weigh-ins?
Yeah, the weigh-ins were odd. He weighed in at 147. Went back to cut the extra pound to get to 146, the 1 pound allowance, and came back and they weighed him in heavier. It was a different guy running the scales. You can hear in the audio his management just ripping the commission a new one. I really wonder if he was on weight from the start. I really do. Don't forget, he weighed in last originally.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody else already weighed in. If the scale got kicked off, who knows? You're using a mechanical scale. There's no guarantee. You know, we see fighters step up there real hard and the commission gets pissed. They're like, easy. We're messing up our scale, you know? So I have real questions about this weight miss. Now, that being said, he just lost half his purse. And if he lost half his purse and he was on weight, I think he's got to get some money here. And I think he's going to get some money by trying to actually finish Herbert Burns once he gets tired.
I would, if I'm betting Arce, I would much rather Arce miss weight than Burns.
Yeah.
You want to talk about less motivation now than ever? Burns just got purse money from Arce.
True, very true. Good point.
So I listen. I find it hard to believe that Herbert Burns is going to all of a sudden reinvent himself from exhaustion, lack of heart, lack of cardio, and reconstructive knee surgery twice. This would be a first time. This would be the first time that we've seen it. I'm not as confident as I was. Money seems to be coming in on Herbert Burns, which blows my mind. But if Burns doesn't get to finish in the first round, it's Arce all day. Arce does have very good cardio. And to be honest, even though he missed weight, he certainly didn't look bad.
He looked great at face-offs. He looked very rehydrated, yeah.
Yeah, so the pick is Arce, and you're all in on – no, I don't want to say all in, but you love the under.
This fight not to go the distance it's in a parlay. It's got to be. It's just got to be. It's either Herbert Burns in the first, or we get maybe a minute into the second round, and you just see the look on Herbert's face like, oh, no, I have nothing.
Yeah. And Arce isn't going to have that look. He's going to be fine in the cardio.
No, when he sees him fade, he's going for the finish because he needs a $50K bonus now. He needs the money.
$50K Arce. Here we go. Virna Jandiroba and Luque Godinez. We haven't really talked in depth about this. Are we on different sides in this one?
I believe we kind of are. I mean,
I'll let you go first. Talk it out.
Yeah, I just think that Luque is so favored by the judges that if this fight goes to decision, I feel like we're going to sit there and it's going to be a split decision for Luque when we don't think that she won.
You're only saying that because it's happened a couple times before.
You know, history does kind of repeat itself. I think she's getting that treatment where the points are going to be in her favor. So Jandiroba is going to have to convincingly win this fight or finish it. That's my stance. I have nothing as far as a skill breakdown. I think they're very evenly matched. And you've made the case. And that being said, I love where you're going to go here with your breakdown of Jandiroba and where to go with this bet. So fill us in.
So I asked you, like, Jandiroba, like, how do you picture her fighting? It's like, come forward pressure, great cardio, gonna try and get the takedown, gonna be feisty as hell on the ground, just gonna be an annoying nightmare when it gets on the ground. And then I asked you, is Lupe a wrestler or striker?
I had no answer. That's right.
And so like Lupe has been billed as a wrestler, and we've seen it, but not recently. She's just decided I'm a volume striker, which is one of the more odd kind of things that we've seen. And so what I like about Jandiroba is, and I'm not trying to be, I will just say it, she doesn't have the charismatic look that a lot of these fighters have. She just looks a little different. Like, Lupe walked out to face-offs, and the crowd was like, oh, it's Lupe, and she's, like, doing her thing, and Jandiroba walks out, and it's like, is this the outcast of the UFC? Like, do you know what I mean? She just walks to the beat of a different drum, which I love, but she just looks different, and she's not super outspoken, not super charismatic. Like, you know what she is? 19-3 in her career. And she lost a decision to Rhys. She lost a decision to Mackenzie Dern. And she lost a decision to Esparza. You're not going to finish her. It's just not happening. So, you know, she was severely underrated against Marina Rodriguez and just put it on Marina.
Yeah, she did.
She did. I think she can do the same with Lupe. Lupe's got the volume striking, but not when she's sitting on her behind. And I think Jandiroba is going to push forward. And Lupe's got wrestling in her background. I haven't seen takedown defense from Lupe, and I certainly haven't seen takedown defense from anybody like what Jandiroba can do to her. I think that Jandiroba is absolutely a live dog. I'm really, really surprised that you can get plus 180. But our good friend Corbin loves the spread on this one. I couldn't agree more. Jandiroba plus 3.5 at minus 170. We've already established you're not going to finish Jandiroba. And Lupe's not going to finish Jandiroba. I don't think she has the power. She's got volume, but I don't think she has the power. Nobody's finished her. And I don't see her steamrolling 3 rounds through Jandiroba. Not with the cardio, not with the pressure. Jandiroba gets at least 1 round. I could see another split decision. And you're right. If it goes to a split decision, it's so slanted in Lupe's favor. It's not even funny. So I think the best way, my opinion, is to take Jandiroba on the spread. You like Lupe to win. And listen, the nice thing is we could both cash.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The best part about
amazing.
this is we're on opposite sides, but we're on the same bet. It's crazy. It's crazy to say. We see the fight totally differently, but the same bet we feel will cash.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, there's Jandiroba and Godinez. Nate the Train, Nate Landwehr, and Jamall Emmers. I would say top 3 polarizing fight on this card. Basically, Nate Landwehr is going to be one of the top polarizing fights on any card. Nate's absorbed a lot of damage. That war against David Onama was really something. I thought he looked pretty good against Austin Lingo. I don't know. I'm not going to hold him losing to Dan Ige. I thought it was a pretty decent fight. It's Dan Ige. I'm a Dan Ige fan, but he has lost several knees. You said this one doesn't count, right? The Herbert Burns, Nate Landwehr.
Well, it counts, but it was just such a out of the blue knee. It was like, and everybody was on Herbert by submission in that fight, and he got the knockout, which just killed everybody.
Yes.
So it
when
was a little bit
Carlos Holber wins by submission.
It was a little out of the blue. I will say that. I just.
Yeah. So you got Nate now. He has. I say he's gotten a lot more patient and a lot better, but you wouldn't notice it in the David Onama fight. But I do think he's a lot more controlled and he's a lot more patient. I'm pretty surprised at the line here. I'm not as high as Jamall Emmers. I guess the Jamall Emmers being that favorite is because of the damage that Landwehr has absorbed. I don't know. I'm not really sure how we get to Nate Landwehr being plus 155 right now at the time of recording. Jamall Emmers a minus 190. Line seems way out of whack. And that's with me even saying that Jamall Emmers beat Jack Jenkins. I thought that was a ridiculous decision. But, it knocks out Buzkja or whatever. What's your take on this one? Are you on the Nate train?
This is recency bias to a T here with Jamall Emmers. He knocks out Buzkja. Okay. Okay. So he did what Sean Woodson was supposed to do. Okay. And was on his way to doing. Okay. He's 34 years old. He's always been a ball dropper. He dropped the ball against Sabatini. Nate was tired going into that last fight. He had a lot of fights. He had a lot of damage. He had a baby on the way. It was a baby theory. He's taken time off, and I love that. Look, everybody talked about how long Jamall Emmers was. Then we had face-offs. And Nate can stare him right in the eyes. So that big reach is gone. That length is gone. Nate is going to fight for your money. You bet Nate Landwehr when he is a dog. You do not bet him as a favorite. And he is a dog. I got Nate Landwehr at plus 180. That line has plummeted. On that. So that line has plummeted. Because I knew at face-offs, and once people started looking into this fight, they realized that Emmers is going to have this big size advantage that he had against Buzkja. I'm on Landwehr, man. I'm on Landwehr. I think Nate comes out here. And again, if this goes to decision, I think Nate's going to have the more impactful shots, and I can't trust Jamall Emmers. That's also what it comes down to. So that's a bet in my account.
Yeah, if you got spreads, Nate Landwehr's plus 3.5 is only
Another,
minus
that's a great one.
130.
Yeah, that's another great one.
Chidi, Njoukuani, and Rhys McKee. Is it Rhys or Rhys? Rhys McKee. You're just full blown dead under. Don't even need to break down a winner. Yeah, I think I'm with you. Go ahead and tell your side because I'm with you. I'm not picking a winner.
We sniped the Chidi and Njoukuani cardio when he fought Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. And we were watching that fight, and 2 minutes into that fight, said it out loud, Chidi's done.
Live bet opportunity.
While he was winning and beating Oleksiejczuk, I said, he's done. Here's the way this fight breaks down. We have 14 strikes to wait out. I believe that after 14 strikes, we'll be able to know what Chidi's cardio is. And if Rhys McKee is not down after 14 strikes, you are live betting Rhys McKee. It's that
great.
simple.
This is great.
I've had a good read on this cardio. We're like, oh, maybe it was a one-time thing. Then in his last fight, he just looks horrible. This is a drop down in weight class. He made the weight, which I'm shocked. McKee is slower than dirt. So if he can survive this and Chidi's cardio falls off, it is McKee by finish in round 2 or late round 1. This fight is so cut and dry to me. I can't see it any other way. That's how you got to bet this fight. And you're going to get a ridiculous line on McKee. He's still a dog. You're going to get a great line 2 minutes into the fight if he's losing.
I'm with you. This would be a stunner if it made it the distance. Like, you and I were watching that shitty Oleksiejczuk. We were like, wow, he just beat the crap out of Oleksiejczuk, and he can't even stand anymore. What just happened?
He shot a
to him?
takedown 2 minutes in, and we're like, he's a wrestler now? Okay, that cardio's gone.
Yes, absolutely. So, under on Chidi and McKee. We don't need to pick a winner on that one.
No.
Just take the under. Not to go the distance is such a great parlay piece. So, with you. Bill Algeo and Kyle Nelson, we have a baby theory on this card, and these have been great. And it is on Kyle Nelson, who is 1-1 in his last 2 fights. Oh wait, they gave the fight to Padilla, and I'm convinced they accidentally checked the wrong boxes.
Yeah, that was a pretty big stunner.
I went back and I remember in the moment thinking it was kind of weird, but I didn't have a bet on it, so I didn't think that much of it. And then I went back and watched it, and the entire fight I was just waiting for the Kyle Nelson moments when he wins the fight, and I never got any. And I was like, wait a minute, how did he win this fight? And the fact is, he didn't. And what was so weird was that was in Mexico, so you would have thought Padilla would have been if there was any shady shenanigans from the judges, that was it, that fight. Because it was like, how do we destroy the Mexican parlays here on this Mexican card? I know, let's give it to Kyle Nelson. So in that fight, though, he did mention, I believe, that in his post-fight interview, my pregnant fiancée is with us. Well, now she's no longer pregnant because she gave birth last week. So let's talk out the baby theory and what we expect with Bill Algeo and Kyle Nelson. We like Bill Algeo, right?
Yeah, I have a great read on Bill Algeo. I always have. He's going to fight for your money. He's got fantastic cardio. He's got awkward striking. He's tough. He doesn't slow down. Can mix into wrestling as well. He's going to push a pace, and he's going to stay in your face, very similar to Billy Quarantillo when he's not injured. And he's just going to push a pace. Look, Kyle Nelson isn't just a baby theory. He's got a 12-day-old baby. 12 days. That's fresh. That is fresh upheaval, okay, of your household. I think Kyle Nelson has dodged a couple bullets, and I think he's right in the crosshairs in this one. And this is my favorite money line parlay piece of the entire card. It's just Bill Algeo money line with another play you like. Get it under minus 200 and set it and forget it. I don't see where Kyle Nelson in rounds 2 and 3 wins these rounds. He could win round 1. He's not going to knock out Bill. I think it's going to be a split decision at worst. And it's going to be 2 rounds to none. Algeo rounds 2 and rounds 3.
His fight against Blake Builder, if you could have, if you were teaching a college course about bad fight IQ in a
Oh,
fight.
it was horrible.
You would devote a couple days to breaking down this fight. You remember that one? We were just like,
Yeah.
Builder hasn't beat if he just does a couple things, and then he would do the opposite. And Builder was like cocky. And it was laughable what happened in that one. So you're right. Listen, Kyle Nelson has dodged 2 massive bullets in his last couple fights. And fact is, when I watch Kyle Nelson, I'm just not that impressed with him. He's tough. It's tough. It's going to be tough to finish him. If Algeo finishes, my guess is it might be a submission on the ground. But you're right. That pressure, Kyle Nelson's not going to squeak through this one. Not Bill. You can squeak through a Blake Builder dumbass performance. You can squeak through a Padilla who's still young in the UFC and didn't quite know how to finish off rounds. Bill Algeo ain't giving you. He's not giving you anything that you can. So I'm with you on Algeo. I do kind of like Algeo by decision, but you're right. Parlay piece at minus 245. Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful.
Taking that one. Nursultan Razaboyev and Cedric Dumas. Cedric Dumas being 9-1 in his career is one of the more confounding things going on in sports right now. You watch him fight. You want to talk about dodging some bullets. So he gets Cody Brundage when Cody Brundage just decided, I'm not going to fight this night. Like, he literally was just laying down. He tried to do the jump guillotine like a couple times, and then he just laid on the ground. How Dumas could not finish him was beyond me. It was like fighting a mannequin, and he somehow couldn't finish the mannequin.
Pathetic.
And then they give him Abu Zaitar, who hadn't fought in forever. And the only reason Zaitar gets a fight is because he's fighting in his hometown country in front of his family and friends. And Zaitar and his family and friends have cash. So, like, Dumas, these last 2 fights have been really, really anomalies. And before that, he gets choked up by Josh Frim. Not a great fighter. And he's fighting Ruzaboyev. You're all over Ruzaboyev, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm on Ruzaboyev. If it burns me, it burns me. But this could be a situation when we look back and we're like, why the heck didn't we parlay him? Like, look, you could say what you want about who he's fighting, but it is very hard to amass that amount of wins, even if it is regional MMA. He's had losses. He's learned from losses. He's bigger than Dumas. Way more dynamic on the ground. Way more dynamic on the feet. People are in love with Dumas' striking, and I just don't get it. I don't see it. I don't see anything with Dumas that makes him a bet-on fighter. And I will most certainly take the shot that even if Ruzaboyev is a fraud, he's not going to get fraud checked in this fight. I will look to fade him in the future, but this is not the spot to do so. I think this is going to be Ruzaboyev by finish. When Dumas shows no ability to get up from bottom with a guy who is a very good submission artist. He will hunt for this submission. He's not going to just ride his back like some of these other guys have.
It was a bummer we didn't get at least a round out of Bruno Ferreira and Ruzaboyev. Yeah. That was the biggest bummer of that fight was like, we were hoping to see the cardio of Ruzaboyev. Like, was this a repeat of Abus versus Sean Strickland where he looks great and then just all of a sudden no cardio? So I know what you're saying. I don't want to say roll of the dice that his cardio is good because Dumas can go 3 rounds. We've seen that. We know that. But, yeah, as far as upside, it's Ruzaboyev all day long. And Dumas, I mean, on paper, this is by far the biggest step up in competition. I mean, he fought a mannequin and Cody Brundage, and he fought a... Yeah. I mean, how do you even describe Abu Az?
He was another checked out fighter. I mean, look,
of course.
Dumas lost to Josh Fremd, who's not a high caliber fighter, but we were on him in that fight, and for good reason. And it was a submission that ended it when Dumas's cardio failed and his wrestling ability failed. And I could see this fight going very similar.
All right, Chris Weidman makes his triumphant return here, Jim. Let's start with Bruno Silva, because you and I both have the same opinion of Chris Weidman. So Bruno Silva is 34 years old. This is a very strange 1-4 run in the UFC. I could almost make the case I haven't really seen a 1-4 run like this one. So takes care of Jordan Wright as he should. Takes care of Andrew Sanchez as he should. Takes care of Wellington Turman as he should. fights Alex Pereira and goes the distance, which that was the one where it was like, whoa, this Bruno Silva guy, like, he's really good. He took Pereira. Okay. Fights Gerald Mearshart, and he gets finished, and it comes out the guy was just sick. He was really sick. Most guys would have pulled out. He decides to fight. So then he goes, gets a good finish against Brad Tavares. Gets choked up by Brendan Allen. Again, not a loss that's aging that poor. Brendan Allen's fighting in main events.
Yeah.
Now, and then this Shara Magomedov, this guy comes out and looks like a legit UFC guy. Yeah, I would have guessed. If I was just watching that fight for the first time, I would have been like, oh, this Magomedov's been in the UFC for years. Just wicked kicks, tons of damage. Silva, I thought, actually did a good job holding his own. He actually got on top of Magomedov, and even then Magomedov was like hitting him crazy from the bottom. I think Shara is a really good fighter. So you have this really strange 1-4 record. I just don't think it's that indicative of what Bruno Silva can do in a fight. And so to get back on track, he needed a big step down in competition, and they give him Chris Weidman. So let's start talking it out on Chris Weidman, Jim.
We'll start tallying up the red flags on Chris Weidman. I might run out of flags. I could run out of flags on this one. Chris, look, we all know. You're watching this video, you're an MMA fan. You know Chris Weidman's done. He's past his prime. Gruesome leg injury. And then leg injuries in his return. In an interview, he said he couldn't even circle to his left. Or was it his right? He literally could not function. This is in New Jersey. This has retirement fight written all over it if he loses. Still talking about being a top contender, which is a giant red flag that we use when we have these older fighters who used to be champions that just can't accept the fact that their time has passed them. I also think the sport of MMA, just from a skill gap perspective, has passed over Chris Weidman. We don't see guys that are specialists much anymore. Everybody's so well-rounded. So well-rounded. And Chris Weidman really was a specialist. You know, and when I hear him in interviews talking about how good his striking is and how he can strike with anybody, he couldn't strike with anybody when he was the champion. You know, how did he win all of his fights? Yeah, he knocked out Silva because Silva was screwing around. But it was all wrestling. So if he can't get the wrestling going, he's done. Bruno is hungry, needs a win. I just think this is going to look really sad, and I hope it ends quick without anything gruesome. And I think we're very much on Bruno Silva in this spot in a possible retirement fight. I don't think there's much more that needs to be said about Chris Weidman.
I'm of the opinion Brad Tavares took it easy on him.
I agree with you 1,000%. Yep.
You go back and look at that. It was painful to watch Weidman going around, and it felt like Tavares was actually trying to not engage. Like on the surface, you would be like, well, why? Like Tavares is circling around. I think he was trying to not get in there and do another kill shot. Yeah. Bruno Silva's 1-4. He ain't screwing around. This guy's 34 years old on a 1-4 skid. He needs a win, and a $50K bonus might look really good because I will. We talked about Luque having the advantage of scorecards. Who do you think the judges are going to give a fight to in New Jersey? Chris Weidman or Bruno Silva? Weidman could be standing there with blood pouring out of his head, arms. He could be standing there holding his one good leg, and there could be a split decision. Silva needs to get him out of there. And even in Silva's loss against Magomedov, when I went lost, Silva's speed he's just there. He's going to land the leg kicks. And you brought up a good point about the wrestling. Like, is Weidman even that good of a wrestler nowadays? That fight, his last win against Omari was one of the worst UFC fights of all time. Brutal. It was really, really bad. So, it's Bruno Silva, and you're on the under on this one, right?
Yeah, I don't see this fight going to this. Say Bruno is a fraud, and somehow Weidman gets on top of him. We've seen Bruno have trouble in that situation. So, yeah, he could slip on a banana peel.
That would be amazing. I mean. Do you think Chris Weidman even has the speed to actually get to Bruno Silva?
It's literally going to be a slip on a banana peel. Like he's going to throw a kick
He is going to have to slip and fall down.
And Chris will fall on top of him. That's going to be the takedown. That's how it's going to happen.
I'm with you. Vicente Luque and Joaquin Buckley. You mentioned that you think this is the by far the biggest step up in competition for Buckley, and he's 17-6. I will tell you that. Well, I said I was like, so you mean the Alex Morano on short notice moving up to Vicente Luque is a step up. So let's talk about Joaquin Buckley. I will say, brilliant move to change weight divisions.
Correct.
He should not be fighting guys like Nasruddin Imavov and Chris Curtis. That's just too much for him to deal with. So he's not. He knocked out Fiallo. Everyone has. Gets the decision win against Morano, where Morano comes in and kind of does Buckley and the UFC a gift. So I guess you think it's too much. You're leaning towards Luque in this one.
Yeah, the skill. Now we're going to start off talking about skill. The skill gap is massive for Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque can win fights every which way you want an MMA fighter to win fights. He can win a decision. He can win by knockout. He can win by submission. He can out-tough a guy. He can out-technique a guy. He just can do it all. The worry with him is the brain bleed. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Is when you hear brain bleed and you hear this horrific injury that he had to deal with. Okay. He got through that fight with, why am I drawing a blank here?
What?
Last one.
Last fight. RDA?
RDA. He got through that fight with RDA. That is massive for your confidence, okay? I love his headspace where he's at. I honestly think, and honestly with Buckley, have we seen the destructive power? We don't. And Buckley's wild. Vicente has tight, crisp technique. The skill level and the technique leads me toward Vicente Luque. I think damage-wise, he's going to be fine. And this would be a situation where we're going to look back and say, man, this was. I honestly think Buckley is the bed crapper of the week. I think he's the one that a lot of people are on, and they want to fade this with Vicente Luque, but people forget how good he is. And if he doesn't get hit by one of these big giant looping hooks, Buckley's not really a head kicker with high volume. He does it once in a while. I mean, I think Vicente can win in the wrestling. I think the clinch game is Vicente's. I like the veteran fighter, and I don't want to put too much stock. It's been a while since that injury. I think he could be mentally back to where he was. Yeah.
I mean, Buckley, huge. I mean, the highlight of all highlights against Impa.
Yep.
And Fiallo, I mean, Fiallo's been knocked out by, like, literally everybody. This isn't,
in talking about that Fiallo fight, at the end of round one, there were some questions like, all right, is Buckley even going to get him out of here? Mm-hmm. Like, we've seen Fiallo really fold pretty easy. And it did take him till the second round. I mean, late in the second round, where everybody with their unders was getting very nervous. Very nervous. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Final fight, Erin Blanchfield. Real quick, guys, if you could just, while you're watching this, hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, and leave us a comment. Tell us what fights you agree with, disagree with. Leave us a best bet. Tell us what you're betting. I love seeing what you guys are betting on, and love see if you guys disagree with something that we've said on here. Try and do it respectfully. Just try. I ask every week. If not, we'll deal with it. We're big boys. You guys did good last week. It
was very good. Good comment section last week. So, and we have a 5% UFC play that is ready to rock. It is locked and loaded on WagerTalk.com. Promo code still available. Lang7 gets $30 off 7-day pass. 5% UFC, bare knuckle. You also get NHL, MLB, NBA. At the time of recording, Jim and I are celebrating our 4-0 night last night in the NHL and NBA. So you get all those plays. Take advantage of that. Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com, promo code Lang7. Let's talk about the main event. Erin Blanchfield, Manon Fiorot. You know what I'm getting ready to ask you about. I love Fiorot. I can't help but smile when they interview her.
You're going to make me say it, right? You're going to make me say it?
It's just her smile is different. Her smile is very, very different. I love her here, so I will go ahead and start breaking. I'll break this down, and I'll tell you why I'm on Fiorot in this one. So, Erin Blanchfield, she's still young. I think people don't realize that she's 24. She's 12-1 as a pro fighter. So when you hear 12-1 female fighter, I would think 30. No, she's 24. And she's fought some amazing competition. I mean, she gets Molly McCann out of there. Andrade, I think, was a really good win. And that Tyler Santos fight, I mean, that was like the best win-win situation for her. She got 3 rounds of cage time against an elite fighter in Tyler Santos, and she gets the win. But I got to tell you, there was one little trip. It wasn't a little. It was a big situation where she ended up on top in the second round. I think that turned the tide for her. I don't think she's ready as a striker. I don't think she has the elite striking. She's going to want to make this really dirty. And we saw this almost exactly with Katlyn Chookagian and Macy Barber. And Macy Barber got the better of Chookagian because she got the clinch, she got to work the body, she squeaks it out on the scorecards. The thing is, I don't think Fiorot's wrestling clinch game is as bad as some people are making it out to be, or at least the Blanchfield bettors are making it out to be. She beat Rose. I know Rose broke her hand, and I know that she absorbed some damage, but she did what she's supposed to do. She won. She gets the win against Katlyn Chookagian. She gets the win. Jennifer Maia gets the win. Mayra Bueno Silva gets the win. I think that if she could just keep Blanchfield off of her for the first round, I think her length and her striking is going to be just enough to slow Blanchfield down in the first round and prevent Blanchfield from getting so close to those clinch and those situations where Blanchfield is at her best. So I'm on Fiorot. I can't say it's a super, super confident pick. I just think it's Fiorot's time. I think that her jabs and her length is going to cause just enough problems early on to really get Blanchfield a little bit disappointed. I think she sneaks out rounds. Close decision, and it comes down to Fiorot. And I think Blanchfield walks away from this and says, I got to be a little bit better at the striking. She becomes better at the striking. And then in 2 or 3 years, Blanchfield is an absolute monster holding the title. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Nailed it. Nailed it. I am a huge fan of Erin Blanchfield. I have been on her in every single fight. I have made nothing but money with Erin Blanchfield. Her top control is fantastic. Her grappling is fantastic. Her striking is mediocre at best. And this is a huge problem with young fighters, is that it's worked till now. They haven't branched out. They haven't traveled out. They haven't experienced different coaches that can improve their striking. She's still in the same place she's always been. And we always see it that only happens after a loss. Or you get exposed in something. And you go out and you have to travel and go find help. You have to be a bit of a Ronin and go from, gym to gym and try to find out what works for you. The size difference is drastic. I think the strength difference is going to be drastic as well. I think it's Fiorot. I think this is too much too soon for Erin. I think Fiorot's destined to fight for the title next. And like you said, 2 years from now, Erin's going to learn from this. She's a career mixed martial artist, not a wrestler, not a softball player. This girl has just been in combat sports. But she needs to branch out and make improvements where she lacks. We'll see if she does it this fight. The way I plan on playing this fight, and I'm going to do this right after we log off here. I'm going to put a bet on Fiorot. Okay? She's plus money right now. I think that Fiorot is going to look fantastic in rounds 1 and 2. At that point, you're going to be able to get plus money on Erin Blanchfield. Fiorot goes up 2-0. Right before we get to the third, the championship rounds, you take Blanchfield at plus money and you guarantee yourself profit, and you sit back and you watch the rest of this fight with no skin in the game and just enjoy it, because in a couple of years, Erin Blanchfield is going to be a UFC champion. It's just, it's not going to be off of this fight.
Yeah, I get where you're going with that. Like, lock in the two fighters at plus money and coast to a victory no matter who. Yeah, that's a smart way to play it. Because you're right. Speed-wise in the first round, it's going to be jab, jab, jab. Like, just
she's not going to get close to her. Yeah.
Length. Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, let's take a little look at the recap here. Again, guys, while we're doing this, hit the like button. Give us a little comment here. Pacheco and Loughran. I think we both like Loughran to win with the ground game. I kind of lean a little bit to the over. Petroski and Malkoun. Who did we decide on this one? Or did we decide to go the distance?
Distance decision. Yeah.
Distance decision. Gatto and Dudakova. We really like Melissa Gatto. Too much too soon for Dudakova. She loses her first one. Anton Turkalj in his, last time we can bet against him in the UFC, we think he gets flatlined by Aslan. But just take the fight to not go the distance. Connor Matthews and Buzkja leaning under on this one, but sidewise, kind of stay away from these guys. Arce and Herbert Burns. We like Arce. Too much to not like about Herbert Burns. Jandiroba and Godinez. We like Godinez to win a close one. We like Jandiroba to cover the spread, but we like Godinez to get the shady judge's decision.
You're going to play Lupe by split, Virna plus 3.5, and fight goes the distance. There you go. You got 3 bets on that card where we don't disagree. That fight we don't disagree.
Nate Landwehr and Jamall Emmers. We think the line's too wide here. We kind of like Nate the Train as the underdog. Plus 3.5 would be a good one again on that one. Chidi and McKee, unders all day long on that one. Algio and Kyle Nelson. That's our fade the baby theory. Kyle Nelson, baby 12 days ago. So Bill Algio on the money line. Great parlay piece. Ruzaboyev and Dumas. Jim is talking me into that Ruzaboyev could be one of those plays where after this card is over, like, God, why didn't we load up on Ruzaboyev? Bruno Silva and Weidman, not feeling Weidman. Feel like it could be his retirement fight like Bruno Silva. Luque and Buckley. Jim, I'll ride with you on this one. That Luque kind of puts on a veteran performance to Buckley. Buckley, not the greatest cardio in the world. We could see Luque pull out a nice win. And then Blanchfield and Fiorot. We're on Fiorot at plus money. Nice live betting opportunity Jim brought up. So if you take Fiorot to start with and she looks great in the first round or so, you'd be able to get Blanchfield at plus money and don't even have to worry about who wins. You'll have plus money on both fighters. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for us for our UFC Atlantic City. We've got our Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship video that is up. And next week, PFL videos, UFC videos. We got another Bare Knuckle. So the run on MMA continues. We're going to start Friday night with Bare Knuckle and hopefully cash that 5% play. That is available on wagertalk.com. That's going to do it for us. Good luck on your plays. We'll see you in our next video.